Hey everybody, welcome back for another super-powered edition of SHOREVIEWKEN. Today we're taking a look at my favorite game based on the X-Men, and one of my all-time favorite games on the SNES, as a matter of fact, and that's X-Men Mutant Apocalypse, which was developed and published by Capcom and released first in North America in 1994 and in Japan and PAL regions in 1995. At the time it was released, I was a massive fan of the X-Men, reading the comics, and of course watching the Saturday morning cartoon on Fox Kids, which I still think is one of the best superhero animated series ever. Also, I was a big fan of the Capcom games being released at the time, like the Street Fighter series and Mega Man, so this was a perfect combination for me of license and developer. It's also worth mentioning that this was the first ever Marvel licensed game developed by Capcom, which is a relationship that has lasted to this day, so this is a huge milestone game in addition to just being an all-around solid action platformer with a greater emphasis on the action, essentially being a cross between Mega Man X, Final Fight, and Street Fighter II, which is an amazing concept. The plot of the game is loosely lifted from the comics, and as the title implies, it initially features Apocalypse as the main bad guy, running his evil mutant prison camp on the island of Genosha and producing legions of the mutant hunting robotic drones known as Sentinels. That is, of course, until he is dispatched, and shock of all shocks, the game shifts focus to defeating Magneto, who has launched an offensive on the Earth with the intentions of wiping out all of humanity. You're given 5 of the X-Men to choose from that initially have their own individual stages to play through, but after that you can play through the remaining stages with whoever you like. So the first 5 stages are essentially training for each character, and later stages have segments that are better suited for each individual character's special abilities. Basically though, you just beat the hell out of legions of enemies, avoid a few obstacles here and there, and take out a boss character in each stage. Each character has a unique playstyle though, complete with an array of Street Fighter style special attacks that allow you to use your mutant powers, which is a far superior gameplay style to the Genesis games, in my opinion. It's challenging, at least initially, but it's also very fun, and if you're an X-Men fan from the 90s, you will love the variety of boss battles. Initially, you'll just be taking on a series of Sentinels, but eventually you'll be facing off with the villainous mutants of the comics like Tusk, Omega Red, Exodus, Magneto, and of course Apocalypse, who is nowhere near as imposing as he is in X-Men vs. Street Fighter, but his inclusion is still greatly appreciated. Overall, this is probably my second favorite beat-em-up on the SNES, just behind Turtles in Time, which is really high praise. The gameplay and stage designs are damn near perfect. On top of the gameplay, which is fantastic, this game features some of my favorite music from the entire 16-bit generation. As far as I know, it was all produced by Alpha Lyla, who produced most of Capcom's soundtracks at the time, including Street Fighter II, Mega Man X, and Final Fight, so it's safe to say they never produced anything that wasn't awesome. This game includes some amazing tracks that shift from high-energy, heavy metal-sounding tracks like in Cyclops' stage to more chill and groovy tracks with a sweet bass line like in Beast stage, but they're all great and very memorable, and as good as the soundtrack is, the visuals are just as good. This is a beautiful 16-bit game, and the comic-to-game conversions of characters is very accurate and faithful to the source material. Big, detailed character sprites, especially The boss characters and the stages are very colorful and detailed, and again, very well designed. So with some of the best graphics and sound on the SNES combined with amazing gameplay, this is one of the few games I've played so much that I can easily pick it up and complete a no-death run at any time. This is, in my opinion, a must-play classic game for the console. It's X-Men Mutant Apocalypse, and it's one of the finest 16-bit action games ever made.